Hello. Today we will be comparing some tamales that you can just buy at your local grocery store here in Arizona, heat them and eat them. We're going to compare the ratio of meat to masa, the quality of the masa, and how they taste. Now, at the major grocery stores we have, which would be Fry's, which is owned by Kroger, and then Safeway and Albertsons, they all seem to carry the Del Real tamales, and then Bashas and Food City, which are owned by the same company, have their own brand, which is the Dos Ranchitos brand. And they both kind of come where they're both saying they're like homemade. So if you don't have 2 days to make tamales or a bunch of family to help you make them, this is a good option where you can buy them half a dozen at a time. Both of these tamales run about $8.99 for a half a dozen. So $9 a half a dozen, $18 a dozen. So they do have different varieties. The Del Real varieties that I could find were chicken, pork, beef, and cheese and green chili. And then the Dos Ranchitos has a Monterey Jack jalapeno, a chicken, a beef, a pork, and also sweet corn tamale. And then also Food City has some extra brands of the sweet corn. So we have the bags. They both come in plastic. During the year, if they sell them, they're sold frozen. This time of the year, they do thaw them out and keep them refrigerated, usually like near the deli department or deli area. They have an outer wrapping, and then inside, the half a dozen tamales are also in a sealed, another plastic bag, so that if you wanted to heat them all together, like in the microwave, you could, or you can take them out and heat them individually. Now, they do have instructions on both bags, both from the Del Real, which I got at Fry's, and the Dos Ranchitos, which I got at Food City, that you can cook them like a traditional tamale. They are actually all fully cooked, so all you really need to do is heat them up in the microwave. But if you want to steam them, you can do that if it makes you feel like they're more homemade to you than or more traditional. But you really just need to wrap them in a moist paper towel and then heat them in the microwave. The Del Real tamales are wrapped in a wax paper, and then the Dos Ranchitos tamales are wrapped in a corn husk. So they look already more like a traditional tamale. So after we get them heated up, I'm going to put them on the plate, and then we're going to unwrap them and kind of take a look at them. The Dos Ranchitos seem to be more like a little bit bigger tamale, a 5-ounce tamale, where the Del Real ones that I got at Fry's were a 4-ounce tamale. When I unwrapped them, the Del Real didn't look so pretty on one side, but when I flipped it over, it looked okay. Also, a lot of times people will put toppings on tamales, which would include sauces, melted cheese, whatever you like on it, or you can eat it plain. The Food City tamale, the Dos Ranchitos, looked a lot more like a homemade tamale. It had the fluffy masa, whereas the Del Real was a little flatter. When we tasted them and when we cut them open to look inside to kind of compare the masa with the meat, the Del Real looked like it was about 50-50. So you would definitely get meat in every bite with your masa. The Food City was a little fluffier masa, so you would maybe get a little more masa in your mouth or in your bite, but it still had a comparable amount of meat. And it did fill the tamale from end to end. It wasn't just like a little tiny spoonful on one side of the tamale. So when we cut it open, the Food City one did seem moister, like I said, fluffier. And the meat was more, it seemed like a better shred, and it actually looked like red beef, whereas the coloring of the Del Real tamales didn't look so much like a red sauce. I mean, it looked like beef, but it wasn't like as red as or colorful as the red sauce in the Dos Ranchitos or Food City tamales. Taste-wise, I personally like the Food City one better, but my friend who was tasting them with me said that they actually like the ratio of the masa with the meat on the Del Real, just because it wasn't as much masa. So it's kind of, I guess, a personal taste too on how much you like the masa. Neither one of them were really bad masa, and the Del Real wasn't really a dry masa. It was just thin, so very thinly spread, and then like 50-50 with the meat. So my personal taste for more of like a homemade looking one, or a prettier one that's if you're gonna serve it to others, would probably be the Food City one. And like I said, they do have different flavors. They have a chicken, a pork. They have a sweet corn tamale, like with the cheese inside. So you have choices. You don't have to get the beef. Pork is usually a more traditional filling, or the sweet corn tamales, which have just like a piece of cheese and sometimes a chili inside. You can also, a lot of people, like I said, do put sauces on them. There's all kinds of sauces. They don't usually sell it as tamale sauce. It's usually sold as like an enchilada sauce, and then also shredded cheese on top, or melted cheese sauce. You have green sauces, red sauces. Some people put like a white cream cheese sauce. Just depends on what your flavors are, but definitely the Food City one was my choice. They also do sell the masa, prepared and unprepared, which means it's just either the corn masa or the corn masa with flavoring. They do it by pound at Food City, so it's going to cost you probably anywhere between $7 and $10 just for the masa. And they also do have a display for corn husk, lard, and wax paper, depending on what you want to do it. Plus, you have to buy your meat, so that's one thing to think about when you have to make your choices. Enjoy!